Another belt video for you today. This is on the Nexbelt. Before I get into the belt itself, I've done a couple belt reviews, and I always throw in my standard belt video. Disclaimer is not really the word, but I'm going to call it disclaimer, or more of a life tip with belts. The short version of it being, if you're going to wear a belt, especially a belt that you're going to carry stuff on, buy a good quality belt. And here's the belt that I always show. This is the leather belt that I wore to my concealed carry class. At the time, I thought this was a nice stiff belt. I mean, look how stiff that is, right? That'll hold a gun just fine. But turns out, no, I can ball this thing up and it is not even remotely stiff. And little did I know at the time that this was a fine belt for holding up your jeans and nothing else. And if you're going to buy a belt and wear a belt for more real stuff like carrying a gun or anything else like that, get a real belt. I've been wearing wilderness tactical belts for a long time. I have several of these and I like them. They do definitely look a little bit more gun belty, especially with the buckle here. They have the Velcro. They're infinitely adjustable, which is nice. Some days, on what I'll call lazy days, I am just running out and I don't want to put this big, not that this belt requires a lot of hassle to put on, but it's a little bit to put on, not good, a little bit. So I have a leather gun belt that I wear, and this is nice and stiff, and it has holes, and the problem sometimes with this belt is that the belt can be too big, it can be too small, a little bit too tight, a little bit too loose, depending on the pants and depending on where the holes fall. But it's nice and easy to put on, and it does look a little bit more like a normal belt because, well, it's just a leather belt. So if you were going inside the waistband and you wanted to have your shirt tucked in, you could wear something like this. Then this year I was at SHOT Show 2017, and I was walking around and I came across the Nexbelt booth. And I'd seen some variants on these ratcheting type belts around, and I looked at them, I played with it a little bit, and I was kind of intrigued by it. I went back to the hotel that night and I looked up some reviews on Amazon and everywhere else. I'll throw a link to it down below. You can check them out on Amazon. And the reviews were almost universally positive, and I was kind of intrigued. And the nice thing about this belt is, one, it's not the extra steps of this belt with all the Velcro and stuff. It's not the flimsiness of this leather belt, and you don't get stuck between holes like you do with this belt with either an inch too big or an inch too small, because this belt is, as they say, the belt with no holes. And here's how it comes. It comes in a nice little plastic case. And this video is going to be kind of a combination video. I've not worn this belt yet, so at the beginning here is going to be an unboxing, because this belt has to be sized, so I wanted to throw the first part of the video before I'd worn it to show you how that works. And then I'll wear the belt and then come back and talk about it a little bit. So the belt comes sized for a 50-inch waist, or it comes big enough for a 50-inch waist. 50 inches down to, how small can you go? 25 inches and everything in between. The buckle actually doesn't come on it, but I put it on it last night when I got it and just threw it back in the case like that. It does come with some instructions here on how to size it, and it also comes with an Allen wrench and an extra screw. So let me show you how this works. There we go. So you loosen that and the buckle comes out. So now you take the belt. The belt on this side has a ratcheting mechanism there, which the buckle goes onto, and I'll show you that in a bit. But when you first get this belt, like I said, it's sized for up to a 50-inch person. And on the inside here, for ease of use, there are 1-inch increment markings with numbers, so you have an idea of where you are when you're cutting it, so you don't have to kind of measure it. The way to size this, as a simple rule of thumb, take your waist size. Mine is a 32. Add about 2 inches to it. I usually buy a 34 belt in any normal belts. This is a 34-inch belt. A lot of my wilderness tactical ones are 34-inch belts. So if you're going to be carrying outside the waistband, add 2 inches. If you're going to be carrying inside the waistband, add 4 inches for all that extra space. And also, as a second rule of thumb with this, size it a little bit longer initially if you want, because you can always trim it further, but if you cut it too short, well, you're kind of stuck and you have to buy a new belt. The other nice thing, aside from this, that I was attracted to with these is that the buckle looks a little bit more like a normal buckle, and as much as this is nylon webbing, like a lot of the other gun belts, they have a ton of varieties of them. They have these in leather, they have them in straps, they have a bunch of different buckles. They have this type of buckle. They even have some logo buckles. If you're a car guy and you want to get a Corvette or a Chevy or different types of buckles like that, they have a bunch of options that you can check out on the website. So infinite options for both the style and the material of the belt as well as the buckle, and then they're interchangeable. You can buy the buckle separately, you can buy the belt separately. So it's handy like that. So let's cut this, like I said, in real time here. Here's the 34-inch mark. Some scissors. All right, there's that. Now this end will probably be a little bit frayed. And so what you can do with that is you can take a lighter to it. See how this goes. Just kind of singe up some of that so you won't have all that fraying. There we go, now that's all sealed up. Now from there you put the buckle on. Make sure we get this going in the right direction. Open that up. Feed the buckle in once it's there. Close this down and then cinch down the Allen wrench screws. All right, so that's the belt assembled. Now the way it works, you put it on, you feed this through here, and on the back here, it is infinitely adjustable because it has this ratcheting system. So you can adjust it to 1/4 inch increments as opposed to 1 inch increments here. Adjust it to your size, and then to release it, all you do is you press this little lever here and it pulls right out. So put it on, ratchet it down, plenty stiff as you can see, and there it is. All right, off to wear it. I'll be back in a week or two. All right, I'm back. I have been wearing the belt now for a while, and overall, I really like it. I love how easy it is to get it on and off. You just put it on, you feed it through, it ratchets through there, and it's nice and secure. Then to get it off, you just press this little lever here, and it pulls right out. Just to show you an up close of the mechanism here. I didn't show you it before, sort of. But when you take it off, all this lever does is it just releases that little piece there, and so it can slide out. So I love how easy that is. I've worn this shooting. It's plenty stiff enough for holding a gun. I've worn it as an everyday belt. I've worn it pretty much straight since I got it. It's the only belt I've worn, and it works great for pretty much everything that I've used it for. Shooting, everyday, work. I love how easy it is. The only thing I might say that I would change would be that it would have a keeper, something here to keep the strap. Sometimes if you get a little bit of extra tail there, it can get a little bit offset. This is a very small nitpick, but I do wish it had a keeper or something just to keep this just a little bit neater looking. Although you can shorten it to the point, obviously you can shorten this to any length you want, and so you can shorten it so that when you're wearing it, there's not really going to be that much of an overlap anyway. So let me tell you how much I like this. This is the one that I got from Nexbelt. After SHOT Show, I looked at them, I read some reviews, I wrote to Nexbelt and said, hey, your belts look really interesting, I'd love to do a review on one, can you send me one? And they did, and here's the one they sent me. And here are the 3 that I went ahead and bought on my own because such a nifty belt. And here are those 3. So I bought a black version of the tactical belt. Same buckle, same everything, just black. And then I bought 2 leather ones. A tan leather and a black leather. And as I mentioned before, they have a ton of different buckle styles. And just to show you some of the variations here, on some of them, the buckle is open and the belt feeds through it, and what you see is the actual belt feeding through. On some of the other ones with a little bit different buckle style, there's already leather fed through the buckle, and when you're feeding it through, the leather is going behind that. It still looks like you're wearing a normal belt. It still looks like it's the leather that you're seeing, but just a little bit different buckle style. And you can get, like I said, you can get any of the buckles individually, or you can get any of these and you can kind of mix and match almost infinite combinations. But I got these, I've worn them as kind of a dress belt. These are not gun belts, they're not that stiff, they're just normal single ply leather. Same mechanism on the inside. Something else to note is that on these tactical versions of these belts, they recognize that this might be used to carry a little bit more weight, something like a holster. And so to give these belts a little bit more strength, in the buckle here, they added 2 Allen wrench screws to really sink down to that webbing. So you have the tongue part in the middle with the teeth, and then 2 Allen wrench screws, versus the regular buckles, which are just like on the leather belts, the dress belts. And you can see that those do not have the 2 Allen wrench screws because this is not going to be, it doesn't need to be as tough as the tactical belts. So it's nice that they've thought about that. They've done a little bit extra engineering on the belts that are going to be used to carry a little bit more weight. Let me just put one on and show you how it functions with it on. Not that there's anything magical at putting a belt on, but I'll at least demonstrate wearing it. So feed it through, ratchet it closed, and put it through there. And then, like I said, it's infinitely adjustable, so you can, if you want to move it 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 an inch, you want to lighten it up if you sit down or after lunch or something like that, easily adjustable. And then putting a gun on it, this is a loaded M&P 9 compact and plenty stiff. The gun doesn't move around. Easy to draw it, plenty stiff, no problems with the belt moving around. So it functions great as both a dress belt and a casual belt, just to show you. I'll throw the dress belt on for good measure. So there's the dress variant. All right, so there you go, the Nexbelt. I love these belts for how simple they are, how easy they are to use, how infinitely adjustable they are, and they're very affordably priced. The tactical ones start at $49. Some of the leather ones are also $49. And then depending on if you get some of the more like exotic materials, different leathers, they can get a little bit more expensive, but still, again, for what you get with how adjustable they are, how nice they look, how easy they are to use, I think they're a great option. I'll put some links down below, both to the Nexbelt website and to them on Amazon, so check them out there. Let me know if you have some of these, let me know what you think of them, but I highly recommend them. Nexbelt.